Hello everyone, let's start our first VSO sprint. This is a program we already have in Brazil, and this is the first version in English for worldwide public. I'm here with my partner Vinicius Moura. How are you, guy?
Hi, Cerradas. Fine, and you?
I'm doing fine. I'm very frightened about this first version, but let's go, let's do this thing. Well, first, before starting, let me explain a little about the objective of a program. The main focus is to bring examples of the latest VSO sprint to you guys. We're going to show you how to use the new feature that the team deployed to the Visual Studio Online. Is it right?
Yes, on this example, you use Sprint 88 deployed on September 18.
Yes, last Friday. Yeah?
Yes.
Okay, so let's do this. Well, the first example we have here, we have basically seven new features to present to you. And this first new feature is about the Kanban board. We have some great new improvements. The team is investing a lot in this part of Visual Studio Online, and it's getting richer and richer. A very good feature to use to plan the development with your team. Okay, so this brand new feature is about adding tasks to your backlog items directly on the Kanban board. What was the problem that this new feature solved? First, you added the backlog item, and then when you needed to plan your sprint to run the grooming, you needed to switch to the task board to add tasks to the PBI. Now you can just go here to the Kanban board. You see here we have our items, and instead of switching to the sprint task board, we can just click here on the three dots. We can edit title, it was already here, and we can now add task. See what happens. If we click add task, we can see now this new part of the backlog, and then we can now start writing the task names. As I type the task name and hit enter, the task is already created. So let's create more 2 or 3 tasks here. You see? If we switch to the backlog view, we can see that the backlog is already created with the tasks as childs. So let's do what else we can do. Let's see what else we can do. As you see here, I started having a counter. What does it mean? I have 3 tasks and I finished none of them. So let's click here and see the details of each task I have. So if I click on the checkbox, it's Outlook like. If you guys know Outlook, you can see the tasks in it, and you see that as you click in the checkbox, you've just finished the tasks. So if I click on the second checkbox here, my counter updates automatically. And then I have 2 of 3 tasks already finished. This is a great feature to optimize the productivity and the planning with your team. That's great, really great. Well, so let's go to the next feature.
The second feature delivered in Sprint 88 is talking about query and display of Kanban Fields. This feature is using on product backlog board, and you use to represent board columns on query fields. For this example, I can configure board on Kanban board and include one column named developing example. And you can put split column doing done. After this, I create one swim lane named technical depth. Right? And move the first PBI to developing done, and one bug on swim lane technical debt to use on query. I created queries. New query. On first example, I will use bird column, the new field to query, and filter developing will show my respective PBI and bug. The second example, I will use boarding lane technical debt, and I will filter only my bug. This is a cool feature to use on my team. The third feature developed on Sprint 88 is talk about multi-select items on the backlog. On early sprints, it's possible multi-select only in product backlog. Now it's possible multi-select item on sprint backlog. For example, I can use Sprint 88 on backlog view and select multiple items. Example, I can deliver these PBIs on Sprint 88 and I can move all items to Sprint 89. Example, I can move all PBIs to Sprint 89. This improvement is delivered in Sprint 88.
Well, let me take back the control for me to show new from another model of Visual Studio Online. Let's talk about code. Well, now we have a new branch policy for pull requests. Now I can force a pull request to be associated to a work item. What does it mean? I can enable the policy to check if a pull request is associated with a work item, one or more, and I can block automatically the pull requests if this pull request has no work item linked to it. Well, let's see how it works. Once we are here on the Visual Studio Online, we go for the configuration of the team project. We can now access the version control tab. And once we have a repository with a branch, pay attention here that the branch policies are related to the branches. Okay? Now I can now access the branch policies here, and I can now see that I have this new policy. I can check all pull requests for linked work items, and once I enabled it, I can block the merge if there are no linked work items. Alright?
One more feature delivered on Sprint 88 is talking about export test outcomes. On TFS 2010, you have a plugin working together on MTM called Test Scribe. This plugin exports only a planning of your test. On TFS 2013, this functionality delivered on web access. Example, you use option test and export your planning test. On this sprint, it's possible export outcome tests. Example, you use export option and select latest outcome test. With this option, you print this test and it's possible have information about test, method, user, configuration, running, date, etc. This is a cool feature for documented my tests. Thank you.
One new we have here, we are still unable to show you how to do it because we are in a region that still cannot access Power BI reports. But basically, we are start having the reports we have in the report server in Power BI connectivity. Okay, so we are start having more and more indicators and reports and get a richer interface for decision making. Okay, if you want to know more about that, if you are outside Brazil and this region that has no access to this tool, you can look at Jeff's blog post for more details as mentioned here in the link for this release. Okay, and for another new, we can now publish test results for other task frameworks than MS Tests. We can now publish test results for JUnit, NUnit, xUnit, and of course VS Tests, that is basically the same as MS Tests. Let's see how it works. Let's go for the Build tab here in Visual Studio Online. We already have a new build created for Sprint 88. And as you can see here in the build summary, we have test results associated to it. And as Vinicius say, the build summary is very important because it's almost a release notes of this package. You need to have the most information as possible here, like test results, like associated work items, and so on. And now we are able to associate test results of other test frameworks. Let's see how to do it. If I edit a build vnex here, we have some tasks. We have a build task, we have a test task, and we have published test results tasks. Okay? The difference is basically here. If you can see, we now can choose the test result format. Take a look at that. I can now choose between JUnit for you guys who use Java here. You can use VS Test. You can use NUnit. The example I showed you here uses NUnit, and I will show this. And xUnit. If you can see here, my class uses NUnit. And it's checked into the version control. And it's built here, tested, and I can publish the test results as we saw here. Okay? Well guys, that was all for Sprint 88. I hope you liked our video and our demonstrations, and we hope to get back to you to show more for other sprints that are coming and the evolution of the product. Thank you, Vini.
Thank you, Serradas, and please follow hashtag VSO Sprints on Twitter and use our videos to improve your experience on VSO. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.